Recording in progress.
Okey. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi taala wabarakatuh. Selamat pagi. Good morning, tuan-puan. Okey, kita masih menunggu peserta-peserta untuk join in the session. Saya teruskan ya. Alright. Sekali lagi Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi taala wabarakatuh dan salam sejahtera. Good morning tuan-tuan dan puan-puan. Selamat datang ke webinar khas bertajuk Creating Inclusive Workplaces Through Coaching. Saya Siti Azra binti Khalid dan daripada Institut Tabir Awam Negara Intan Bukit Kiara akan menjadi moderator anda sepanjang sesi ini. Dan bersama-sama dengan saya adalah pasukan Pusat Pembangunan Kejurulatihan dan Pengajian Lanjutan Intan dengan diketuai oleh Encik Muhammad Azlan bin Mahmud selaku teki yang akan mengendalikan sesi webinar pada pagi ini. Tuan-tuan dan puan-puan, peserta webinar sekalian, untuk makluman, webinar ini bertujuan untuk meneroka bagaimana Pandu Citra yang merupakan istilah baru bagi coaching boleh menjadi alat penting dalam membentuk tempat kerja yang lebih inklusif, produktif dan menyokong kepelbagaian. Dan dalam dunia kerja hari ini, ianya menjadi satu keperluan bagi memastikan setiap individu dan dalam konteks kita sebagai penjawat awam hendak mendapat peluang yang adil untuk mengembangkan potensi dan menyumbang kepada organisasi khususnya perkhidmatan awam secara efektif. Tuan-tuan dan puan-puan, pada pagi ini ya untuk sesi webinar Siri pada kali ini kita bersama-sama dengan tetamu jemputan yang berusaha Dr. Shan Murti, Doktor, dan seorang pakar dalam bidang pandu citra atau coaching dan pembangunan organisasi, Master Coach Fernando Celis. Mr. Fernando, yang kita bawakan khas ya secara langsung dari Florida, Amerika Syarikat. Master Coach Fernando akan berkongsi ilmu serta pengalaman beliau mengenai topik ini. And it's an honor to have you both here, Mr. Fernando and Cap Dr. Shan.
All right. Absolutely. Selamat pagi, right?
Yeah.
Good morning.
Cool. Okay. So, untuk makluman tuan-tuan dan puan, secara ringkasnya sesi ini akan berlangsung selama 1 jam sahaja dan di akhir sesi nanti, ya, selama 15 minit, kita akan buka ruang untuk sesi soal jawab. Jadi, kepada tuan-tuan dan puan, boleh terus bertanya kepada Mr. Fernando ataupun boleh type dalam chat box di ruangan chat sepanjang sesi berlangsung, ya. So, untuk itu, mari kita kenali tetamu dan panelis jemputan khas kita pada hari ini. Untuk itu saya dengan hormatnya mempersilakan yang berusaha Cap Dr. Shan Murti, CEO atau founder Team Coach International yang merupakan satu badan berakreditasi bagi pentaulihan pemandu citra profesional oleh International Association of Coaching, IAC, untuk memperkenalkan tetamu jemputan serta meneruskan sesi webinar. Dipersilakan, Cap. Over to you.
Thank you, Dr. Zura. Selamat pagi, salam sejahtera, salam madani, salam Pandu Citra untuk semua. Ya, thank you for coming. Overwhelming response. Izinkan saya berbahasa Inggeris. Kawan saya tak pandai bahasa Malaysia. Belum lagi, bahasa Melayu belum lagi. Ya, so please allow me. And also, selamat berpuasa to all those who are fasting, all the Muslims who are fasting today. So thank you. I would like to introduce my good friend, Fernando Celis. I met him, we were both serving at the Board of Governors of the International Association of Coaching, and during the trying times of COVID and all that, and we were doing a lot of things in the International Association of Coaching. And I know Fernando as a very creative and innovative person, as an individual. Yeah. And he's the only person I know personally who is a certified master coach of the International Association of Coaching, and also a master coach of the International Coach Federation. So, this is the highest level, right? So, and over 25 years as a professional coach, an executive coach, peak performance coach, and sales and communication consultant. He's been, all over the globe, and is very much respected and known in the Latin America, in the Spanish-speaking community, not only in the Latin America, but also in the US. Yeah, Fernando is one of the top references for coaching in the Latin America and the Caribbean, and he is the CEO of the International Life and Leadership Coaching Academy, ILC, and he has certified more than 3,500 professional life coaches. That is a lot. Yeah, and he has been involving in promoting and researching the power of coaching to improve the quality of our interaction in different systems and economy, social, corporate, and family. We probably should have people like Fernando in the United Nations. Fernando, you should be in the United Nations. And he enjoys serving, writing, and enjoying his life in Miami, Florida. Yeah. And currently is involved in creating the first coach assistant for his school, creating entirely by artificial intelligence, AI. Amazing. And he's also an author of the book, and author of Executive Surfer, and another one is Life Coaching, The Heroic Journey. And I'm honored to have, I don't know if you can see, I'm honored to have his book, which he sent to me a few years back, The Executive Surfer. Amazing. He's an amazing human being. And I would like to welcome Fernando Celis. And again, thank you very much, for coming and sharing your wisdom with the Malaysians. So over to you, Fernando.
Thank you very much, Shan. Shan, this is an honor and a privilege to be with all of you, especially for the theme of this particular webinar. But I want to make it in a way that we can all take something from this, because this is about leadership, this is about coaching, this is about inclusion. And for me, inclusion is about being connected, or the feeling of connection. It's one of the basic human needs. The human needs, there are 6 human needs: the need for certainty and control, the need for variety, the need for the feeling of feeling important and significant, and the feeling of love and connection. Those are of the 6, the 4 needs of the personality. You need them. The human being can't be without them. And then we have contribution and growth, which are the spiritual needs. So when we're talking about inclusion, it is not coming from a place of control. It's coming from another place. And when I connect this with coaching, I can see why coaching is attracting so many talented individuals and professionals that have the seed of becoming change agents to guide our societies to a place of well-being. because we have talked about the VUCA environment, the volatility of the world. I mean, we've gone beyond that. The world is coming to a place where our presence is not just a thing to have, it's a necessity. If we're not present and we're not connected, the changes around us are going to eat us up alive. And unfortunately, it's producing a lot of pain in some societies. I'm in Miami. There are things happening here every day in the United States, Latin America. It's a moment. For me, it's a fascinating moment because I get to speak with individuals every day from different organizations. I get to feel the pulse of what's happening in Silicon Valley, in the families, in banks, to bring us to a conclusion that only through what we are going to explore today, which is a universal feeling, can we really become inclusive. So we're speaking from different sides of the world, literally. My time here is 10:10 night. So it's amazing what is happening and how technology is helping us do this. 10 years back when I started, 20 years back when I started, this was science fiction. In fact, I started my school in 2012, and I remember back then I was obsessed with the internet. When I saw the internet, I was like, wow, man, this is the greatest thing in the world. And I remember the master coaches of those times would say, Fernando, you will never deliver coaching online. Never. You have to have the physical presence. I was like, come on. And look at what's happening. We're speaking from different places. Now I'm feeling the same kind of resistance with artificial intelligence. And for me, artificial intelligence is helping us as coaches research, develop, create, and help us in creating the inclusive environments that we need to strive, to flourish. That's the essence of our craft. So let me share screen. I prepared something for you so we can follow my ideas, and you can ask in the questions, and Shan, if there's a question, we can answer, because that's what coaching is about. Coaching is about interaction. So this is about created inclusive workspaces through coaching, and that holds the element of consciousness and awareness. Being aware of what we need, being present and vibrating with what is. Now, as coaches, our work is centered in exploration and reflection. And there's a woman called Margaret Wheatley that studied deeply and wrote about these things. And when quoting reflection, it's about respecting the wisdom of the other, curiously exploring how the other person feels, thinks, and acts. We are catalysts for inclusion. It's the element that separates us from every other profession in the world. Our job is to have the person feel safe in an environment where they can be vulnerable to speaking out. And as a leader, if you get that in a team, brother, you can become unstoppable. The teams are a reflection of the leader. The leader affects the organization upstream when they put into their deepest element the concepts of becoming one and connected. And that requires a lot of reflection and work, hard work, inner work. Without reflection, we walk blindly, creating more unintended consequences without achieving anything beneficial. We can't be inclusive by force. We are inclusive when we really accept the reflections and the awareness. So let me tell you a little bit about me, where I'm coming from, because I come to coaching not from connection, but from disconnection. You see, I grew up in the United States and I was very timid. I'm very shy. And when I was 10 years old, my family had to return to my country, Venezuela. My father was also a military man like Sean, like Captain Sean. So he was at the base in Fort McNair in DC, and then sent them back. And when I returned, I had to speak another language. And my introversion got excessive. So I had problems relating socially. So I became a surfer, because in surfing, you don't need a team. It was my place to, looking for disconnection, I learned to connect with the elements. I became connected and inclusive to the ocean, to the islands, to nature. Now, there's something about surfing that is connected with what we do, because when you're surfing, you are confronting one of the most powerful forces in the planet, which is the ocean waves. And I know you guys are up in Indic Ocean, right, Sean? All of you are surrounded by ocean. You know how it gets when it gets big in the peninsula. Now, one of the most fearful moments in surfing is a wipeout. This is a wipeout. And nobody wants to be in a wipeout, because you can get held under for a long time. Now, if you are at this place where the camera is, and you are paddling out, because you have to be behind the ocean to be able to be in a place where you can catch a wave. So if you are in this place where you're seeing this, you're completely paralyzed. You're going to get clobbered. You're going to be sucked into the ocean, and it's going to hurt. And then, of course, you go back out and you always have another opportunity. So what does the surfer do to go through that wave head on? He doesn't paddle on top. He doesn't have to do forcefully. He goes under the ocean. I think you've seen this type of photograph. You go under the wave, and the energy of the wave will suck you under and take you out to the safe place. You see? It's a path of least resistance. You're using your body, you're using physics, you're using the energy of the wave to go under the wave as a way of getting through the vortex. Why is this important for coaching? Because in coaching, we use the dreams, the reflections, and the ideas of the other so they can produce a change. And you, as a coach, use yourself as an instrument of reflection. That is deeper than listening. You're observing, you're feeling, you are recognizing, you are accepting. You are making the other feel connected. And that's what we're talking about. Connection. The International Association of Coaching has a definition of coaching as a transformative process for personal and professional awareness, discovery, and growth. And that's why we're all here. Because I know each and every one of you are passionate about the transformation process. And each and every one of you want to make an impact, a positive impact on others and leaders, and be someone that can be recognized, can be competent, masterful, and make a change in the world. And I know you can do it. I believe in your skills. I believe in your desire to dominate the skills, each and every one of you. So coaching gives us the possibility of becoming aware, the possibility of awareness. That's a very powerful thing. So as a coach, I always ask the question, what is your biggest challenge? And I receive a lot of answers. And sometimes the coach feels that it's difficult not to think during the session. It's difficult to remain present. And sometimes it's about the connection, that they find it a challenge to connect. If you ask this question, you'll have different types of answers. But our challenges are diverse, as our clients are, because we're human beings. But we are trained in a way of thinking that is contrary to regular communication. And that's why coaching requires training. You see, we're used to speaking from our ego to you. I think, I process, I tell you what I think, and I processed. And that's how we speak to each other. That's how we communicate. In coaching, my thoughts are in the back burner. The communication is receptive, not towards you, but towards me. So before we go into the aspect which is important to understand about this, I want to show you a little bit about how coaching works through what the discoveries of neuroscience and from what we've investigated and researched. Here we have a graph where we have CS, the current situation, where you are right now. You are the present of your story. The person, the family, the organization, and society. We are a present. We have a current situation that we have developed, and there is a desired result. The desired result is somewhere over there in the future. Okay? And so we have this little break. And so coaching takes us from current situation to desired result. When we are in coaching, the person that has something that they want, but they don't have. At the same time, they have something they have, but they don't want. Now, in order for the current situation to become a desired result, we have to face this dilemma here. You see, the human brain cannot be in a space of not knowing. The human brain has to have a complete form of everything. They have to have a rationalization of everything that happens, even if it's not the right thing. It cannot exist with a space of not knowing. It has to be complete. So it develops a system. In order for you to cope with reality, the brain generates beliefs, assumptions, stories, references, evaluates risks, has the inner critic, you know, that inner critic that pops up when something goes wrong. And there is passivity. Passivity of not doing anything. That is like a force field that doesn't let the leader change. Okay? So what does coaching do? And I think that I'm fascinated by the science of coaching because it's an element of genius, because the coach asks a question and the question does something that's amazing. it makes the person doubt of that belief, of that assumption, of that inner critic. And if it takes you to doubt with the question, that makes you doubt about, oh, I said I wasn't capable of doing it, but the coach asked me a question and I started reflecting, and wow, I think that I can do it. I'm not sure if I can't do it. So now the brain is in a space of not knowing. You make the brain not know of something that before defined as 100% certain. And when that is empty, now the brain can make a new connection. And that is where the insights come. That is where true leadership starts manifesting in a new way of doing stuff. How we doing? And that's how we make meaning. Okay? So in order to evoke awareness for inclusion, we're talking about inclusion, in order for a person to feel connected, and when you are using yourself as an instrument of reflection, you are probing, you are asking questions, you are talking about things that will permit the person to feel connected. We are making the leaders make organizations that have inclusion. We have to have these elements that are here in the bottom. The person to feel included. What is it that you need to have an inclusive workplace? The person has to feel attention. A human being, we value attention. We need attention. We need acceptance. We need allowance. I'll explain each and every one of these. We need appreciation and affection. We have these 5. We have a connection to the source of that. The first one, I think, is the most important. We need attention. We need to be paid attention. When we are born as a baby, if we are not paid attention to, we die. The mother pays attention to the baby in order to survive. It's in our system. It's in our DNA, you know? There's an experiment about attention in World War II. I think it was in Romania. There was a lot of bombings. And so the hospitals were full of infants, of babies. Their parents had died in the war. And in one particular hospital, there weren't that many nurses. The nurses couldn't cover and pay attention to all the babies. So the head nurse, the leader, said, listen, we have to make a decision. So we are only going to pay attention to this segment of the babies. What about the rest of them? We'll see what we can do. So some of the population of the infants were paid attention to, and another segment was not paid attention to. They had to offer them very little assistance. Years later, those children that were paid attention to strived. And the ones that didn't make it, they became delinquents. They became problems. Some of them didn't live that long. Because attention is a prime component of unconditional love. The next one is acceptance. We need to feel accepted. It's not something that you can impose. You have to feel that the person is paying attention to you and then accepting you as you are, without judgment. So if we pay attention, if we accept, This is exactly what a coach does. You cannot listen if you don't pay attention. And you cannot be masterful in coaching if you don't accept the other as they are. So we are the first ones that are demonstrating inclusion and connection. This is what we're teaching leaders. The third one is allowance. Allowance means I allow you to act and decide freely by conscious choice. I allow you to act upon what you reflect freely in conscious choice. So we have those three. You feel connected to the source. Fourth one, appreciation. You want to have leaders that excel. We want to have inclusive workforces. The leader has to show this and live it, embody attention, acceptance, allowance, appreciation. The fifth one is like an extra bonus, affection, brother. We are soulful human beings that are filled with affection for our fellow human beings. It's what makes us a wonderful people. So these 5 elements, these 5 A's, because they begin with an A: attention, acceptance, allowance, appreciation, and affection, are primordial when it comes to developing a workforce that feels included, And those are the 5 elements that Dr. David Rico from the Center of Relationship in Santa Barbara, California, he's a psychologist, he's a relationship psychotherapist, has investigated and defined that they are the 5 primordial elements of love. You know? And when you're talking about coaching and you start talking about love, then people are going to say, no, Fernando, that's woo-woo, that's new age. No. This is important. This is science. This is what we need to become more productive and have more well-being. Right now, at this moment, I'm gonna stop the screen sharing for a second. In this moment, in the world of coaching, there are platforms, multi-million-dollar platforms that are hiring coaches all over the world. BetterUp, Coach Hub, Ezra, Torch. And these are, BetterUp is valued at $4.7 billion. They hire more than 4,700 coaches from all over the world. They're looking for coaches that speak different languages, the connection East and West. And it's incredible because they have been involved in hiring coaches, and companies, multinational companies like Google, like Apple, like NASA, like the armed forces, are hiring hundreds of coaches. They're investing hundreds of thousands of dollars. And they're recapitulating data. They have data. They have observed how the impact of coaching is working in the organizations, because they're not going to throw their money away. Elon Musk has companies. Starlink is an advocate for coaching. So there are 2 numbers that I have, and I never forget. Over 30%, around 30%, 37%, 35% are the increase in well-being of the population and productivity. Well-being and productivity. So it's the best of both worlds. They found that this type of activity is profitable. Productivity increases, they're making more money. But at the same time, they are affecting the well-being, making people feel resilient, being the gatekeepers of burnout, and also helping in the process of inclusion, diversity, and equity. But not because they have to. That's the thing, not imposed. It's what coaching gives. At this moment, I'm hired by some of these companies, and I'm leading what they call coaching circles. And coaching circles is 6 professionals from different places of the world. It's incredible. Of the same company, you know, multinational companies, SAP, Hewlett-Packard. And what they require of the coach is making everyone feel connected every week for 45 minutes. So I have a fella from Bangladesh. I have a woman in Chicago. I have another guy from Mexico. I have another woman in France and a guy from Spain. Oh, they're all in the same place. And the questions that I generate in this coaching circles is for everyone, and everyone participates. Now, they do 5 of these sessions. That's what they do. That's the program. Coaching circles, they call them. And more than learning of the topics that we express, leadership, you know, there's a session on feedback, there's a session on resilience, there's a session on this, there's a session of that. More important than that is the feeling that everyone gets to express themselves and everybody supports everybody else. So it's a place that they call it, this is my VIP sacred place, where a man from Bangladesh is able to speak with a woman in Chicago, and the woman in Chicago supports the ideas of the man in Bangladesh, and the Spanish guy learns from the woman in Chicago, and everybody feels included because they have the connection. And what does that require from the leader, from the coach leader that's here facilitating this process? Paying massive attention. Massive attention. Presence completely focused to everything and everyone. Looking at their voice, looking at their inflection, look at their faces, looking at what goes on, their silences. Acceptance, blind acceptance. At this moment in the world, I mean, if we don't start getting along, I don't know what's going to happen. But I have faith in this new generation of coaches that are discovering probably what's going to be the catalyst for the societies that we want to build. So we have acceptance, we pay attention, allowance, because all ideas are welcome, appreciation, and I give the bonus, affection. And affection is really deep, seeing that, you know, we can be part of something better. These 5 elements are what makes us different. These 5 elements are what's going to make us stronger. And start doing our inner work every day, because, you know, we have our own things. We're human beings. We have to have responsibilities. We pay our bills. We pay the taxes. You know, we have to deal with so many things all over the place. So what are the different elements that we have to provide in order to really create the possibilities of awareness? We notice. We notice the awareness, the learning, the client moving towards a desired outcome. We partner and support the client to new and different places. We probe deeply, courageously, curiously, inquiring about ideas, beliefs, thinking, emotions, concepts in relation to the desired outcome. I think one of the most fascinating things in coaching is the curiosity that comes from understanding why you think the way you do. That's the most important thing. I came to coaching, as I said from the beginning, from a disconnection. I was a surfer, I was introverted, I was timid. And in 1990, I found these cassettes of this person that spoke about transformation and personal power. That was Tony Robbins back in the day. And I said, I have to learn all this because this can help. And so I came into coaching to find a way to discover the connection with other human beings, because I couldn't relate. I was very shy. It was becoming a problem. It was becoming a problem. You know, and it's funny, but it's not funny. I am the only Venezuelan Caribbean living in Miami that does not dance. No? Because when I was 18, 19, I was so shy and timid and introverted that if I would ask you for a dance and you said no, man, I would jump over the bridge. I couldn't take it. I couldn't take rejection. That's why I became a surfer. This is a true thing. So I came into coaching to learn connection, to discover the possibility of me connecting, feeling accepted, and being someone that could provide a service. Because I think that one of the main things of coaching is that, yeah, there are a lot of companies. I know people that make a lot of money coaching. You can be hired by Torch and Ezra and BetterUp, but we serve. And you know, the best thing about coaching and serving is that our activity is protected by a code of ethics. What we do in the session is confidential. So it's pure empowerment. We don't follow agenda. And that's what I tell my clients. I said, I am here for you. I don't report to this guy or this guy. My main concern is your well-being. So what do you want to explore today? And I think that we have the best job in the world. The best job in the world. Let me go back to the presentation. How are we doing, Sean?
All good, my friend. All good. All good.
All good. Yes, sir. Good. You guys are in the future.
Yes, we are coming from the future. We're listening.
You're coming from the future.
Yeah, man. 12 hours.
Yeah. So the other one that I have here is the reflection, you know, reflection on the sharing of observation and feelings. These are ways that we can show that we are doing the job, that we are really things, because this is not theory. This is something that is real. It's organic. And it all has to do with our inner state, our disposition, our inner structure that has to do with a pattern of focus, a pattern of thought, and a pattern of whole physical self. What we focus on becomes our objective. So an inclusive workplace means that we focus on the connection. We look at what we want in the future, and our thought processes are going to give it meaning. It's going to answer the question, what does this mean that I'm focusing on an inclusive workplace? And then that is going to affect the whole physical self, the whole physical place. Our bodies are part of our coaching. That's what using yourself as an instrument of coaching. We feel what the client feels. We generate something. We can express it and we corroborate it, but we have different systems of absorbing the information. So our dilemma is what is being embodied. And understand and listen to yourself. If you're asking the right questions, trust your tools. How can I be accepted? How can my client feel accepted? Am I moving ahead in the session? The client doesn't see what I see, or I feel uncomfortable. I'm lost in this session. These are things that can affect our ability to create this type of inclusion, this type of awareness, this type of environment, this type of society. And it's all about physiology, our bodies. It's all about observation. It's all about reflecting. And it's all about paying attention, paying great attention to what is coming up with you. Either you're learning, or you're an initiative coach, or you're already on your path to a certified Coach IAC, or even if you want to be Master Coach IAC. We have the same components. And you know what's beautiful about this internationally? Because I have gone through the different levels of coaching. I was a masteries practitioner. Remember, Shan, when I met you, I was certified coach and then master coach. And I have a school and I have to train my students to become master coaches. And I get people from different schools in different areas. And in ICF, it's ACC, PCC, and MCC, 3 levels, the same thing. When I hear a coach in a session, and he's a masteries practitioner coach, I can know what school he went to in my area, because I know all the schools. When I hear an entry-level coach, masteries practitioner, I can tell what school he's coming from because they speak the same language. When I hear a certified coach, or in ICF, a PCC, coaching a session, I can tell what region he comes from or what country. ¿Cachai? But when I listen to a session by a master coach, they all sound the same. It's all this, it's the same vibration, East and West, France, United States. There's a certain depth that comes from the constant practice. And for me, it's more than constant practice. It's a magnificent obsession because I decided to become the best, the best for me and for my students and for the impact in the companies. So I want to close with the idea of learning to coach without restriction. And that for me is coaching with your heart unleashed, where you follow parameters to become competent, but you become free of using your whole self, your whole energy concept to provide awareness, growth, and the sense of connection. And I leave you with those 5 A's of Dr. David Richo: attention, acceptance, allowance, appreciation, and affection. And right now, I can probably assure that you probably love the person that gives you these 5. And the person that you give these 5 to is in love with you. And before I go, I just want to share a story. Recently, I went with Carmen, my wife, to California. No? And I've been to Southern California to surf, but I've never been in the north. I don't like the north because it's too cold. The water's too cold. But Carmen wanted to go to San Francisco. I said, what are we going to do in San Francisco? So I go to San Francisco. So in San Francisco, we visited the forest, the redwood forest that you see in the movie. When there's some movies that they shoot these big trees. They're huge trees. I went there, and there's a ranger. There's a park ranger that tells you the story and the trees. And I'm looking at that tree. Now, my logic says, these trees must have really deep roots. because it's a mountain. You guys got a bunch of trees. They must have big roots that go in the ground because there are earthquakes and storms, and they're still up for thousands of years, hundreds of years. And the ranger told us, no, Fernando, no. You see, the root of these redwoods doesn't go beyond 6 feet. So how can they stand up? Because it's one network. They're all connected. They're all connected like a big net. And they stand up because they support each other. And that's how they survive the earthquakes and the storms. And that's what we have to have in our organizations. Networks of people that support each other, so we can really confront the earthquakes and the metaphorical storms that are going to try to take us off balance. And then we can build companies, organizations that are inclusive, prosper, well-being, and that they're striving and flourishing. Thank you all very much for being here and for the attention. Shan, how are we doing?
Very good. Thank you. Thank you. I will get Dr. Azura, if you have any questions from the chat. I saw 1 or 2 questions there, so if you can bring it up.
Yes.
Yes.
Well, mesmerized by your story and your sharing, Mr. Fernando, Master Coach Fernando. So basically, I would say with the 5 A's and the first word that you spoken, I mean, in the initial phase of our webinar, which you said connectivity, right? So connection. So these are the themes are coming in, and then about the question cap, there is a list of questions actually keep coming in the chat box, and okay, and therefore, okay, tuan-tuan dan puan-puan, so kita dah sampai ke sesi soal jawab. So untuk itu saya jemput tuan-tuan dan puan-puan untuk memperkenalkan nama apabila mengutarakan soalan, dan juga di chat box lah soalan-soalan dikemukakan saya akan bacakan. So saya open dulu to the floor. If you have any questions, tuan-tuan dan puan-puan, boleh terus bertanya pada Mr. Fernando. If not, I'll just proceed with the list of questions that have been provided.
I think we can read the list of questions dulu, Zura.
All right. Okay. So I'll read aloud the question, yeah? Okay. Let's have a look. Okay. The first question by Miss Latifa Ramzi, Mr. Fernando. How to spread good aura to haters without creating any conflicts? So
how to create a good aura
to
with
haters, yeah, without creating any conflicts.
Yeah. Well, look, there's a secret of communication. When 2 people confront each other, the one that has the most stable state ends up absorbing the other.
Mm.
A hater can have a stable state of hate. And if he's more stable, he'll come over you. So the positive aura will not be affected by nothing that comes, because he won't be triggered. It's about being triggered. A hater is a hater because he triggers you to define the person as a hater. It's like an arrow, an arrow, like a bow and arrow. When the arrow hits you, that means that you got triggered and then you respond. And now, what do I have to do to not respond? You're already conflicted. The secret is almost like a martial art. You got to be able to catch the arrow in the air or deflect it and say, no, not today. There is no way the other person can affect you if we don't give them the authority to. And that's a lesson for leaders. See, it's not the situation of the leader. It's how they use the situation to feel affected by my coworkers, or the woman that's on human resources that has it against me. So we have to become very masterful of understanding others and understanding the motivations. I think that when a person comes to me with something that's negative, I try to think of what is happening in his life that somebody wants to do a good thing and you're rejecting. So we have to become compassionate, and that has to be an open way of thinking. That makes sense?
How is it? Miss Latifa? And any response to Master Coach's response to your question? Okay, Miss Latifa said okay. Yeah. All right. So I like to quote the word that you mentioned just now. Compassion, the ultimate level of mindset that we have with those who face us in such a situation, right? Okay. We move on to the next question. Soalan nombor 2. Okay, how to make ourselves present if we are introvert or ambivert or antisocial? Again by Miss Latifa.
If we are introvert,
Yeah, if you are
introverted,
ambivert or antisocial. So how
ambivert,
to make
yeah.
ourselves present under the presence?
I've seen it from both sides. I think that introverts are sometimes judged. That there's a misconception. Sometimes it's related to a weakness. I suffered a lot from that. I remember my father, he was a general, and he used to say in the dinners, he says, "Oh, Fernando, he's shy." He'd say it like, you don't say that. I think presence transcends our neurodivergency. Presence is an act of being in the moment. And when you're in the moment, you're not affected from your thoughts or for your expectations. You're just totally immersed in something that's very important. So I think it's just a level of maturity when and how to become present. Now, in coaching, we have to train ourselves to become present, because coaching isn't chess. You're not playing a game of a question for an answer for a question for an answer. No, in the moment, the most important thing is understanding what you are thinking, why you're thinking, what's triggering that emotion, and what emotion. I have to discover all those things. And, that what becomes present. Now, what happened to me is when I was a child, I was introvert. I didn't speak. And I used to look at everyone talking and everyone talking and everyone. And I used to really think, when I was 7 years old, how do these people think that they can be able to talk and dance and play? And I couldn't. And I think that kind of curiosity led me to explore this and share it. But I think the most wonderful thing we can discover is becoming present, introverted, ambiverted, and neurodivergent. Right now in the United States, there's a couple of places and master coaches that are generating coaching for neurodivergence. Neurodivergent coaches coaching neurodivergency. I'm talking ADHD, autism, and in coaching. This was something that is a next between psychology and coaching. So I think studying coaching will help you become present, but it's also a lot of inner work, content. It's like building muscles, and you get stronger every week, every month that goes by.
All right. Okay. Thank you for that. And we have question number 3. Okay, Ms. Latifa, you okay with the response? Okay, question number 3. All right, let me move on to, okay. how to be part of your team. Okay,
How do
and
we-
this by Miss Prema, how to be part of your team, and then she said that appreciate. Okay, contact details definitely. She wants to connect with you later in this line of career. Miss Prema?
Absolutely, anytime, we're trying, ILC Academy is becoming something that we're trying to make it so we can deliver our programs to the majority of people in a way that is effective for all. And we've done a great job in Spanish. And right now we have our organization, everything is translated. And precisely at this moment, I'm looking to build the team that can deliver it in English. Because my staff, my team doesn't speak English. They don't speak English. And it's getting hard for them to learn. And it's a good moment to support all of you. If you want to speak with me, Shan Murthy has my information. My name is my Instagram, Fernando Celis. I'm in TikTok now.
Cool. All right. Okay, Miss Prema, we can share you Mr. Fernando contact after this. Okay. And then the next question, Fernando, how to be a good coach in workplace when the workplace itself is a toxic environment? This is by Miss Nurul Huda.
When the organization is what kind of environment?
Toxic environment?
A toxic environment?
Yeah,
Okay.
toxic environment.
Okay. When it's a toxic environment, our coaches as coaches, we have to be responsible. And there's something about coaching when we work with organizations that's a mantra called contract, contract, contract.
Mm-hmm.
Toxicity is always top to bottom. You don't have a toxic team if you don't have a toxic leader. And the toxic leader is not a toxic leader if he doesn't have something toxic on top. And it's the system will tell you. So if you really want to make a service, you can become the catalyst for change, but you have to have the crucial conversations with the stakeholders that are being held accountable and that want to change. You can't change the organization without changing the source of toxicity. And this is a real thing. And if you are called to a company that you feel this, it's because you have something to deliver and to serve. So sometimes as coaches, we have to take our risks and risk losing the client. But, if we're working from the heart, if we're working from a good place for prosperity, for well-being, for productivity, let's work on this. Because the companies that start working the coaching process and develop a coaching culture, I have data, 37% more well-being, 35% more productivity. That means if the company is generating $1 million, it's going to $1,370,000. You see? It's also about money. It's business. Companies hire coaches not to feel great. No, it's because they know that a person that's working with clarity is going to be more productive. We want to be with teams that are productive and flourishing. Does that make sense? And it's not only toxic companies, toxic family.
Yeah, that's another thing. Okay, all right. So due to time constraint, can we have one more questions or Mr. Fernando?
Yeah.
Okay, one more questions. I have to choose one last question by Miss Nur Fadlina. I'm sure she listened to your sharing on the coaching circle, and she has this question: how supportive circle can make us always stronger?
The coaching circles.
Yeah, can make us.
It's a very beautiful concept, because when you have different people from the organization that don't see each other regularly, but they meet, and they are capable of expressing vulnerability to the group. Vulnerability is the gateway to courage. You become courageous by expressing, because the leaders are great helping, but they're not great asking for help. Asking for help requires courage, and the coaching circle is a place where people can express and receive help, and that's what makes us stronger. It's kind of like a paradox, but it's about developing character and being comfortable expressing things that you don't express to everyone.
All right. So thank you, Fernando, for the last response to the questions. And okay, before we proceed to the next, before we end this webinar and we proceed to the next thing in line, would you have any key takeaways that you would like to share to the audience?
I think the key takeaway here is what's coming up for me now. When I was invited to this event, a very prestigious event, I remember, oh man, a sense of nervousness and apprehension. And I decided to design this with the 5 A's. And the amount of love that I felt within the session speaking with you showed me the quality of what's happening on that side of the world. That's my takeaway. The fascination of so many people. This has been one of the largest webinars in a Zoom I've seen in a long time, 385. And that means that there's something happening on your side of the world that requires your effort and your leadership and your continuous growth. And if I can contribute in any way, absolutely. I'm with you guys. And thank you very much. And thank you, Captain, for invitation.
Welcome, Fernando.
Okay, so thank you, Mr. Fernando, and also thank you to Cap Dr. Shan for being with us today and sharing these valuable input and stories, and also the 5 A's. And kami harapkan semoga apa yang dikongsikan tadi, tuan-tuan dan puan-puan mendapat manfaat lah dan boleh mula menerapkan dalam di organisasi dan dengan pasukan dan di organisasi masing-masing. So untuk itu, thank you again, Mr. Fernando. Thank you again, Cap Dr. Shan, on this golden opportunity for us to meet online today. And also, before we end, we would like to have a photo session with our distinguished guest speakers. So untuk itu, saya jemput Cik Azam untuk lead our photo session. Silakan.
Okey. Terima kasih Dr. Azura. Untuk photo session ni, saya mohon kalau boleh buka kamera dan jangan tulis apa-apa dulu dekat chat. Sabar sekejap dekat chat. Sebab dia akan keluar nanti macam-macam. Okey. Okey. Untuk muka surat yang pertama dalam kiraan 3, in the count of 3, 1, 2, 3. Okay. Second page, because of you not know whether which page, so semua orang kena senyum. Okay. Third page. Okay, done.
Right. Okay, thank you Cik Azam. Thank you semua for ni apa ni staying with us ni sampai ke akhirnya. Sebelum itu tidak lupa kepada tuan-tuan dan puan-puan sekali lagi terima kasih kerana mendengar dan juga kepada tim Intan ya yang memastikan webinar ini berlangsung dengan lancar untuk tuan-puan semua. Dan untuk itu sebelum kita berakhir tuan-tuan dan puan-puan jangan lupa untuk terus mengikuti sesi webinar Pandu Citra untuk yang kali keempat ya kita ada dengan tajuknya Coaching for Leadership Excellence. Nanti kita akan paparkan posternya. Coaching for Leadership Excellence, Building Effective Leaders yang akan disampaikan oleh Dr. Muhammad Khairul Anwar bin Yusof. Sementara itu yang mana belum sahkan kehadiran boleh berbuat demikian juga. Okey, di paparan dan juga poster Dr. Muhammad Khairul Anwar bin Yusof. Juga tadi tuan-puan dapat lihat untuk sesi webinar yang keempat. Sila daftar dan join kami. Kita jumpa lagi untuk sesi webinar siri keempat. Ya. Dan untuk itu terima kasih daripada kami dan untuk makluman tuan-tuan dan puan-puan juga kami ada pada 21 dan 22 Mei nanti kita ada International Leadership and Coaching Conference in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, which on the topic the future of work, coaching for a human-centric world, which we have all over people from all over the world to be in Malaysia to participate in the conference, which they will focus on coaching and leadership. So jika ingin sertai seminar ini boleh juga go to the teamcoach.com.my/ICCKL. Ya. So untuk itu sekian saja bagi sesi webinar pada kali ini dan bagi pihak Intan saya mohon maaf atas ketidaksempurnaan sepanjang sesi webinar berlangsung. And again give a big virtual clap to our speakers and to everyone for being here and making a history live from Mr. Fernando, live from Florida, United States of America. And we also have Dr. Shan and everyone here we gather today for coaching and inclusivity on coaching. So with that note, thank you. So kita jumpa lagi.
Thank you.
Thank you, Fernando.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Take care.
Bye. Take care.
Thank you so much, Cap.